everybody. Welcome to the Standing Committee on Public Accounts for June 16th. As per usual, we always read the mandate and the statement of purpose of our committee, so I'll just read that out. The mandate: the Standing Committee on Public Accounts is charged with matters concerning the public accounts of the province, the annual report of the Auditor General, and fiscal management. Statement of purpose and values. The Standing Committee on Public Accounts is dedicated to improving public administration in partnership with the Auditor General. The committee examines the administration of government policy, not the merits of it. The committee strives to achieve consensus in its decisions whenever possible. Members take a nonpartisan approach to the work of the committee. So, I didn't call the meeting to order, but I have, and so I'll ask for an adoption of the agenda. Okay, Gord McNeely. And so the purpose of the meeting today is to consider our work plan, and then we'll take any new business, and after that we would take a brief recess in order to consider our interim report to the Legislative Assembly, which would be in camera. So I'll start with number 3 on the agenda, which is consideration of the committee's work plan. Ryan has provided us all with the summary. Anything that's in red is outstanding since the last time that we met. So we had audit-related items, so that was consideration of the report of the Auditor General for 2020. And the committee had also agreed to review the performance audits of 2018. And then we had some other matters, including a review of immigration. So we had agreed that we'd have IIDI come in to present to the committee and do an overview of operations in general for IIDI as well. Overview of property tax and assessment system, as well as corporate taxation and tax credits, which would be by the Department of Finance. So these were all scheduled prior to us recessing due to COVID-19, and so I would put out to the committee our consideration to reschedule these activities. Which ones would we want to prioritize as being the most important, given the House is still sitting, so I would assume that we'd want to work around that schedule. But what I'd like for us to do is prioritize what we have so that we can reach out, for instance, to the new AG to get that scheduled. So thoughts from anybody? Rob?
You could start with any of them. As far as I'm concerned, couldn't really say that one would be, other than the report to the Auditor General. I mean, that would be our priority, obviously, but whether IDI or property tax assessments, I'd probably say property tax assessments, but because I think government's going to need every bit of taxes it can get moving forward in a fair manner.
Yeah. Anybody else? No.
Yeah,
so
I would agree that
Board?
the Auditor General's report's obviously important, and then property tax, but also having a lens on, if the committee wants to talk about having a lens on. Obviously all this stuff was done pre-COVID, and then that happened, so things might take a different lens moving forward. So, but they're all very, very important.
Okay. So, shall we prioritize the Auditor General Report 2020 as well as the 18 performance audits first? And then we'll follow up by property tax. So we'll see if when the Department of Finance can come in. And I guess based on their availability, IIDI, so if we reach out to both of the organizations just to reschedule what was already previously on our agenda. Okay. Anybody have anything else for consideration of the work plan before we move on to new business? Okay. Okay, does any of the members have new business? No? Okay. Yeah, go ahead, Gord.
I know the Auditor General is being tasked with getting 18 months to review COVID. It's probably here somewhere, but I guess, and plus we haven't met the new Auditor General too, so potentially that would be a big task over the 18 months. So I don't know if we're going to be able to get a briefing on how he's going to set his work out with that or anything along those lines, just for discussion purposes.
So would you like to know the timeline? Because they'll be in their planning functions, so maybe just an update from the Office of the Auditor General as to what are the components and maybe what their timeline is? Would that be helpful?
Yeah.
And then the scope once they have it.
I think so, or
Completed?
just to be, because it's so broad. It's going to
Yeah.
be so broad, and just wanted to make sure that we're getting somewhat of a briefing, and we see things in the community differently, and might need a different lens on a few different areas. So.
Okay. So the only thing I would caution on that is that the Auditor General sets the scope of that audit, so we wouldn't have input into that, so that it's as independent as possible, but just to have the knowledge of, what they're looking at and how to proceed. So everybody's okay with that we request that. So I will share, I did have, so Canadian Audit and Accountability Foundation asked me to sit on their oversight advisory group. And so we did meet this week on that. And one of the topics that came up was COVID spending. And so I know that there was correspondence that had been sent out as to how to deal with public accounts committees during COVID or during emergencies and how we would meet. So I know Ryan had sent some correspondence out to us based on research that they've done, but one of the things that they are looking at is oversight in general. And one of the cautions that did come up was public accounts is about the expenditure of money, and usually we review it based on the Auditor General's lens of that. So one of the members did caution us doing our own, within public accounts, doing our own investigation into it. So it would be based on maybe any official reports that came out of finance based on that spending. There's nothing stopping us from reviewing that as long as it's from a nonpartisan point of view. So, yeah. Because, that's new for everybody. Nobody kind of experienced going through that kind of situation. So, okay, so new business, other than asking for the AG to kind of give us a timeline update. Anything else? And I think it's important to note that I think the committee has always been agreeable that whenever there is new business or new action, like work plan items that come up, that we are open to always accept those. So if anything does come up, then I think, because we may not be meeting regularly right now, to encourage to send that out to the committee if something comes up, so then we are prepared for our next meeting that we can consider those items as well. Is that fair for the committee? We've always been pretty open to do that. Okay, so I will just share, so we did have correspondence. We had a number of items that were on our agenda. One of them, for instance, was GeoLink and how that works, and we had asked the Department of Finance about some other items. And so we were provided an update from Dan Campbell on a number of those outstanding discussions that we had had in the committee. So we received on May 26th, a letter from Terry Hogan, who's the manager of pension and benefits, in response to the committee's request for information and how and by what means the the PEI Teacher Superannuation Fund will ensure audited financials come in on a timely manner. And again, for the PEI pension plan for members of the Legislative Assembly, that's the same item. And then, like I said, Dan Campbell from Deputy Minister of Finance answered a number of our questions. So I'll leave that for the members to review, and if any questions come up, then we can talk about that at our next meeting. Anything else that anybody would like to address before we take a quick recess and go in camera to consider our report? No? Okay.